Welcome to DaVinci Resolve. Today I will show you how you can create this viral rim shrink effect that you just saw in DaVinci Resolve. So let's hop right into the DaVinci Resolve. I have my clip right here, that's just my color grade. I will deactivate that for now. And the first step is to duplicate your clip. Go into the color page and we want to create a mask around the rim. In order to do that, go to the Window tab, select a tool. The ellipse tool makes the most sense because we want to mask a circle, and then just zoom in and adjust the mask. Something like that. Then before we track this mask, I will decrease the softness a little bit to about 0.20 and then go to the Tracker tab and track the mask forward and reverse. Now this mask went really well, so I will leave it like that, but if you want to adjust anything, click on Frame, then you can adjust your mask and then click on Clip again. To separate the mask from the rest, right click into the field and add alpha output. Connect the blue points. Now you can go back to the edit page. If you now deactivate the bottom clip, you can see the mask. This looks good for me, so I will activate it again. And now that's an important step. Right click on the masked clip and select New Fusion Clip. I will quickly just show you how you can do this effect manually in the Fusion page. And then I will show you how you can do this effect easier with my preset. If you only want to see how it works with the preset, just skip this part. But to do it manually, go with the Fusion clip into the Fusion page. Make sure Media in 1 is selected, hit Shift Spacebar and type duplicate. Enter. On the duplicate node, we first have to adjust the pivot point. If you change the value, you can see this X in the viewer right here is moving. So take this X and put it in the middle of the rim. Then create a keyframe on the pivot. Go to the beginning and adjust the pivot again. Go to the end and also drag the pivot to the middle. Now scroll through your clip and make sure the pivot point is always in the middle. After you did that, you can now go to the beginning of your clip, create a keyframe on the size, go a few frames further, decrease the size, go nearly to the end, create another keyframe on the size, go all the way to the end and reset the size. Like that you have this shrink effect. But we don't want it to be one rim that is shrinking, we want more of that rim. So to change that, increase the copies. But always make sure the copy is one number. So not like 4.41, it should always be 4, for example. And now you already have the rim shrink effect. I will adjust the size just a little bit, so it looks better, and just like that you have your effect. Now that's how you do it manually. To do it with the preset, you have to go to the first link in the description, then you will get to my DaVinci Resolve store. Here you can find many other presets, but click on the free rim shrink effect. Here you can also see all the controls and download it. It's completely free. Just go through the download process, download the preset, open your download folder, double click the DRFX file, open DaVinci Resolve, and it will ask you if you want to install the rim shrink effect. Click on install. Now you can go to your effects library, under effects, DaVinci Resolve, and here you can already find the DaVinci rim shrink effect. Now, before we put that onto our clip, make sure that your masked clip is a fusion clip. Then drag and drop the preset onto your masked clip, and just like that, you already have the effect. Playback, render cage. If you have smart selected, then you can see this red line right here. Just wait until it's all the way blue. Now you have to wait a few seconds and you can play it back smoothly. But as you can see, this effect is a little bit off. To fix that, click on the clip you added the preset, go to the inspector under effects, and here you can see all the controls for this effect. First of all, what you have to do is again animate the pivot so it's always in the middle of your rim. To see the pivot control in the viewer, just go to the bottom left right here, click on this little arrow and select Fusion Overlay. Now you can see this X right here. Just move it into the middle of your rim and create a keyframe on the pivot. Go to the beginning of your clip, I will quickly just deselect the auto track selector, and on the beginning of your clip you also have to adjust the pivot point so it's in the middle of your rim. Then go to the end of your clip and do the same. Now scroll through your clip and make sure it's always in the middle. After you did that, you already have your effect. You can now deactivate the Fusion Overlay and see your effect clearly. But of course, you can adjust the effect. You can change how much copies you want by just increasing or decreasing the slider, but again, make sure it's always a clean value, like 4.0. You can also adjust the end size. This will change how big the rims are, but I would suggest to only change it slightly, because if you go under -1, it will have a weird animation. So I will reset that. Now let's move on to the animation control. That's a new method to adjust where the animation is happening. The length of this color spectrum right here represents the length of the whole clip. The black part is where the rim size is in its default value, and the white part is where it's in the end size that you can adjust right here. And the parts in between the black and the white is where the transition is happening. So you can change these points right here, and you can change the transition, make it longer or faster. You can also delay the transition and the effect by just dragging both of the points more to the middle. Then there's nothing happening in the beginning because it delayed the effect, and now the effect is only happening later. But you can also add points by just clicking on this color spectrum right here, and then you can change the color of this point. Just click on this arrow and then you can change it to something like gray, for example. But you always have to make sure that the color is white or black or in between that. So for example, gray. Now the animation is happening in the beginning, then they will get bigger, they will go back to the end size, and on the end of the clip the rim size goes back to its default value. You can of course also delete points by just selecting them and pressing delete on your keyboard. So I will delete the last 2 points because I don't want the animation on the end. I only want the animation in the beginning And then I want the effect to stay till the end, because I want to create a boomerang effect with this clip. But I will show you that in a minute. Let's move on to the next controls. These controls right here are for the transition part. So where it goes from black to white. You can change the easing in and out of this transition by just selecting another point right here. You can play around with that, but you can also make it linear or custom. Then you can manipulate the graph to change the easing in and out. But I will leave it on the default. You can also invert the animation. Then the white parts are where the rim is in its default size, and the black parts become where the rim is in the end size that you can adjust right here. But I don't want that, so I will deselect it. And the last point is the motion blur. You can add motion blur if you check this box, and you can increase the strength. I will increase it to about 20. That's basically all of the controls. I will quickly just right click and make sure this is ticked and let it render the cage. Now after it's done, I can watch my effect. But I'm not finished yet. I will select both clips, right click and select new compound clip, create, and then I will add my Speedramping plugin, which you can get with the second link in the description, or just click this video that pops up right here. I will drag and drop it onto my clip and select the boomerang speed ramp. Now I will right click, render cage fusion effect filter and select the speed ramping plugin. Then I just have to wait until the cage is rendered. After it rendered the cage, I can play it back smoothly. Now the last thing I will do is just add my MotionBlur plugin, which you can also get with the second link in the description. And now I have something that looks like that. If you like this effect, leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel for more free presets. And I will see you in the next one.